Good morning, superheroes. I hope you're having a great time here with us at Holiday Club and learning lots about superhero Peter and making lots of good things. We're learning more about our superhero Peter today and what a superhero he is. We've learnt about his decision to follow Jesus when he was given a choice. We saw his faith and his trust in Jesus when he stepped out of the boat and walked on water. And we also learn that Peter makes mistakes. And yet we know from his story that he was forgiven. Today we think about transformation. And this is one of my favourite parts of Peter's story. But I do have a soft spot for Peter anyway. So shall we find out about our superhero Peter? So we're back fishing. We've been out all night. We must have caught something, said one of the disciples, tired from the long night. Nope, Peter responded. Nothing. We've been out here all night and caught absolutely nothing. Now it was early in the morning when a man appeared standing on the shore. The sun was rising and the disciples had just about given up. Putting his hand to his mouth, the man shouted with all that he could muster, "Friends, have you caught any fish?" The disciples, annoyed, all joined together in shouting back, "No, nothing!" "Take your nets," shouted the man, "and throw them over the right side of the boat." "He wants us to throw them to the right side of the boat," said one of the disciples. "Is he kidding? It's not going to make a slightest bit of difference. We've been here all night and caught absolutely nothing." Well, after a short discussion as to what the point of this would be, the disciples decided that they would play along with the man on the shore and his request, as if they'll find any fish, just by throwing the nets over the other side of the boat. They had been out at sea for a long, long time and had caught absolutely nothing. But this wasn't just anybody. What the disciples hadn't realised was this man stood on the shore of Lake Galilee was in fact Jesus. Jesus had died and risen to life and had already appeared to the disciples, showing them the nail marks in his hands and his feet. But at this moment on Lake Galilee, they didn't recognise that the man on the shore was in fact Jesus. The disciples gathered up all the nets and then took them to the right side of the boat and hurled them over the edge, expecting to once again catch absolutely nothing. Immediately, their nets filled with large fish, 153 fish to be exact. At that point, Jesus realised that it was Jesus on the shore. "It's Jesus! It's Jesus! Look!" Taking off his fishing overalls, Peter jumped out of the boat into the cold, salty water and made his way to Jesus on the shore. The other disciples followed close behind in the boat, along with their immense catch of fish. All of the disciples finally reached the shore, and after dragging the huge net of fish, which surprisingly wasn't ripped or torn onto the beach, they found Jesus sitting next to a fire that he had made with bread and fish cooking on it. "Bring the fish that you've caught with breakfast with me," said Jesus. They sat together and Jesus handed out the bread and the fish. After they had finished eating, Jesus turned for a chat with Peter. Jesus said, "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, you know I love you," Peter answered. Jesus said to Peter, "Feed my sheep." Again, Jesus said, "Peter, do you love me?" Surprised that Jesus was asking him again, Peter answered, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to Peter, "Take care of my sheep." A third time, Jesus turned to Peter, saying, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter was upset at this. He'd already answered this question twice. Peter said, "Lord, you know all these things. You know that I love you." Jesus said to Peter, "Feed my sheep. Follow me." After Peter had denied that he knew Jesus 3 times before Jesus died, Peter was forgiven and followed Jesus from then on, never again denying that he knew him. And so they continued, eating bread and fish, all amazed at knowing Jesus, all amazed at how much their lives had changed since that very first time that they had met him. Wow! Lots of things going on in that story. Lots of transformation. From fishing all night and catching no fish to plenty of fish. And then we have Peter too. Yesterday, we thought about how Peter denied knowing Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. I told you he gets forgiven and how we find out Jesus' plan for Peter. So Peter, our fisherman, goes back to what he knows after the death of Jesus, and we find him fishing. The disciples eventually realise that the man on the shore is Jesus, and we hear about Jesus' chat with Peter, where he's instructed what he should be doing. Feed my sheep. Now, that's not sheep in the field that we see. That's all about us human beings. You see, earlier on, Jesus tells us how he is the good shepherd and we are his sheep. That means Peter's saying to Jesus, "Go and tell the whole world about me." And tomorrow we find out who Jesus sends us to help us with that. So Peter, our superhero Peter, is transformed. He was forgiven. He made a decision to follow Jesus, and it's all about making a choice, having faith and trusting, being able to start again after making mistakes when we seek forgiveness and see ourselves transformed by Jesus as he instructs us what he would like us to do. And all we have to do is say yes to Jesus and follow him. So, who's our superhero? Peter. And what's our superhero theme? Transformation, or being transformed. Have a great day, superheroes!